how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thanks for finding the time to chat this afternoon.
Thank you so much for having me, and thanks for the
Yeah.
introduction. I was just watching you right now.
Oh, yeah. Perfect.
This
Perfect.
is
So
my
yeah, I
first
mean,
Instagram live, so tell me if I'm messing up.
you're doing great so far.
Good.
Honestly, it's gradually become the new norm over these last few weeks to host these things, and as we're getting them, people are learning to request to join the live, and it's a whole process. But you did it perfectly. So, seem
Uh,
smooth sailing so far. But where in the world are you?
I'm in Connecticut at the moment.
Okay, yeah, yeah. And you're staying safe, you're hunkering down.
I am, yeah, I'm with
Yeah,
my family. I got lucky. I got locked down with people that I love, so I
good.
can't complain.
Okay.
Like I have a rocking chair and I have books, so I'm in paradise.
Yeah, that's perfect. I love the bookshelf flush with the wall like that. That's perfect. So relaxing to say the
You
least.
always you always have to have a bookshelf. It makes you seem so much smarter.
Yeah, exactly. And now's the time to hunker down and read it, I guess. Um, but again, we're very lucky to have you. Season 4 of The Last Kingdom is coming to Netflix this Sunday. Um, how about you just tell us about it? I gave the quick intro, but what are you most excited for audiences to get their eyes on this season?
Um, we have a few very, very exciting new characters. I watched the whole show last week, and there's always so many parts of the stories that you don't actually get to see when you're in it because you're busy shooting your own scenes and catching up on sleep. And so when you see the whole thing coming together, it's really cool, and I think it's going to be a cool surprise for everyone. It looks epic. It looks so much bigger than last season, which looked bigger than the one before. And
Yeah.
honestly, I don't know how we keep pulling it off because you know we're we're shooting with the same means, but somehow the teams are just getting better and better and better and digging deeper and deeper. And I'm so grateful to everyone involved.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it really is kind of a larger than life series, following this man's journey from. I mean, the first season he started as a kid, and then you're charting him through the years into adulthood. And
Yeah, I saw
what?
you guys at the beginning when you had that the post up. You had an old picture of Uhtred up.
Oh,
Mm.
we did. Yeah, yeah. But then switched it up for
and
the new
um
season.
and yeah, it was so. I mean, it's been what 6 years now since we started shooting, almost 6 years, and I know I've changed so much. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy to see.
And what's it like to live with the character this long? It's kind of a first time experience for you to have this long running series, 6 years. You're the lead. What's been most impactful about it?
He's such a fun character to play, and I find myself finding new challenges every season. And the writing has been consistently exciting. We have new writers on this season, and they have done such an amazing job at picking up where Stephen Butchard, who wrote the previous series, left off. And in terms of challenges, I think the biggest challenge is to keep it interesting, keep it alive. It's
Mm.
you are playing the same character, and as I said before, once you've seen your lover's head cut off and thrown at you, where do you go from there?
Right.
That's such an insane thing to wrap your head around, and yet more and more horrible things happen to Uhtred, along with wonderful things, of course. But this season, Uhtred's kids come into play.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited about everybody discovering, Stiora and Uhtred, son of Uhtred, the next generation,
Excellent. All right.
played by Finn and Ruby, who are both wonderful actors. And yeah, I think it's gonna be very cool for everyone to see the kids grown up.
Certainly, certainly. Now, we here at Backstage, in addition to the natural fans of this series, our audience today are very much those early career working actors and creators. And I'd love to hear a bit about your process, not to get too actory about it, but how do you really, he's such a physically demanding role, while also, as you say, he's experiencing various traumas. It's a very emotional role as well. So what does the day look like when you get the script? How do you kind of find your way into this character both emotionally and physically?
Are you asking just on a regular day how I get into it in the morning, or are you asking about how I prep for the character when I first start working on him?
Um, let's do when you first started working on him, and then script process for the day. We'll do both.
So I think it's very character dependent. You know,
Mm,
some roles you kind of just slip in and it comes naturally, and the ones that are more character driven, that are further away from my natural state, I really like to spend as much time in their skin as possible. So I like to take them out and try them on, you know, and try them out on people, which is so much fun
yeah.
because first of all, you get to experience the world through somebody else's eyes, and you answer so many questions about the character on the spot, you know, because
Hmm.
when you meet people in the outside world and you start conversations with them, questions are going to come up that you might not have the answers to, and you kind of have to make them up on the spot, and what comes out is sort of what feels organic, you know.
Hmm.
And you learn so much about your character by doing that. And you can't always take all the aspects of a character out in the public, obviously, but you know, especially somebody like Uhtred.
Right. If you were
But
wearing those
when we
costumes, I don't
started,
know.
sorry.
If you were wearing those costumes, just walking around Connecticut,
Yeah.
I don't know if that would fly. Yeah.
Exactly. But what did happen was that when we started shooting the first season, I I my the length of my hair was about this long when I started, and so
Mm-hmm.
obviously we had to make it look like Uhtred, and we worked with extensions. So I went in the morning, and to you know, to a hair salon, and 8 hours later I came out with a head of hair that I looked like a caveman, basically,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And you
Had
remember
you
what
ever had long
Uhtred's?
hair like that before?
I When I was a kid, I had it about down to here,
Okay.
but you get used to it, you know. It's little by
Right.
little.
Right.
Like that was super intense. It felt like living with an alien
Yeah.
on your head the whole time. You couldn't get away from it, you know. It stays. It takes 8 hours to put in. It takes 8 hours to take off. It's an intense process.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
anyway, so I had this caveman hair, and then I just started, you know, trying Uhtred out on people in London and Budapest, and it was so much fun. I met uh, I met a good friend of mine in London, and she didn't recognize me, and she thought I was somebody who was trying to, you know, get money off of her. Or she was
Mm-hmm.
literally, you know,
You look
scared
like
of
a
me. It
caveman.
was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Now, you mentioned, I mean, London and Budapest, and just for those audience members right now who aren't aware, you were born in Germany, grew up between the U.S., France, and Switzerland. This series specifically takes you internationally for filming. You're certainly not in a bubble, and I'm curious if that kind of international mindset has that informed your sensibility as an actor, just to be out in the world and have a better
Yeah,
understanding of others' experience, maybe.
for sure. I mean, I've been extremely fortunate to be able to travel so much, and not only travel as a tourist, but experience different cultures by living them,
Right.
you know. And I think that really gives you a different perception. It opens up your mind, and it also poses a lot of questions, you know. I don't really feel like I belong to a certain place in the
Mm.
world, you know. um I don't feel patriotic about any place in particular. So that is very much along with what's going on in Uhtred's life. You know, he's always
Mm.
looking for what his origins are and what his allegiances are, and so that for sure has helped me a lot as an actor. I think just to be able to you know, put myself in somebody else's skin. I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And that interesting, that direct correlation between your life experience just as a bit of a wanderer and Uhtred here. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better life experience to pull on for his own
for sure.
emotional state.
And you know, I found this is a really odd thing, and you know, I wonder if other actors are experiencing that as well. I find like there's a definite correlation between the parts that I play and with what's going on in my life at the moment. And it's kind of a
Mm-hmm.
chicken and egg thing. You know, I don't know which comes first. I don't know if you know, somehow I make decisions in my life that are aligned with what's going on, but then I don't think so, because, you know, quite often things happen in the scripts that I get to play that I don't know yet. And, you know,
Mm.
things have been put into the works way in advance. So um, I think the search for a home is something that Uhtred always goes
Yeah.
through since the beginning, and this season, you know, there are some moments in there that really question that specific aspect of Uhtred's life. You know, what's his
Mm.
home and what does it mean to have a home? How important is it? And I kind of, you know, in the last year of my life, I really started asking myself these questions as well, because I've been traveling around the world so much, and I always felt like I could live anywhere and would make any place my home. And I feel like I have a lot of different homes in my life. You know,
Mm.
a lot of different places in the world really feel like when I go back to them, I feel like, you know, and all my memories are here, my friends are here, and I have that in Budapest now. You know,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
because we've been shooting for so long there. I have that in the United States. I have it in Paris, in the south of France, and in Germany, in London, and that it's really rich. But at the same time, it also begs the question, where do you settle? Do you need to settle somewhere? You know,
Right. Right.
is your home a physical place, or is your home a person that is dear to you? You know,
Yeah.
and Uhtred is going through those same dilemmas this season.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like just based on the beginning of this conversation, you found a bit of a temporary home where you are now. You're surrounded by loved ones and kind of
Yeah,
needing to be stuck in place.
yeah, and I think, you know, in that aspect, my life experience is very helpful. You know, in
Yeah.
times of Corona,
Right.
you just have to make your home where you happen to be,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's been helpful for sure.
Well, in terms of being just a creative person and an artist, are you finding ways to still be creatively engaged and fill your well, if you will, while you're stuck at home?
Yeah, I've pretty early on when this all happened, I decided to structure my day and give myself a, you know, some sort of program, um,
Mm.
just not to just I always feel like I'm not staying stagnant, you know, and I
Mm.
think this is a wonderful time, first of all, to reconnect with a lot of people in your life that quite often you just don't have time to you know, there's so many connections that are important to me that I feel like I don't invest enough time in just because I haven't got it. And and so I've been talking to a lot of family and friends, and I've been doing a lot of classes on directing, because I'm very interested in directing. I've got some
Oh,
projects that
excellent.
I'm now preparing. I'm doing some script writing, so yeah, I'm keeping very busy. I started
Yeah,
learning
yeah.
Spanish again, which I started years ago, and I keep starting and stopping again,
All
and
right.
so yeah,
So it's the downtime, but still staying busy, staying engaged.
for sure,
That's what you got to do. That's what you got to do.
yeah.
Speaking of the relationships in your life, we have a audience question here from Instagram user Jazzy Grilled Cheese.
Repeat that name?
Jazzy Grilled Cheese.
Jazzy grilled cheese.
Yeah,
I love
making me hungry, making me hungry.
it.
Question here: how close are you with the rest of the cast, and how does that affect your screen time together?
It is so crucial to what's going on screen.
Yeah.
We are so close, all of us. You know, usually in productions you always have a couple of guys that just don't fit, and that you'd rather not be you know, spending your time with. And here it's like coming out to play with your best friends every day. It's
Mm.
truly amazing. And and yeah, of course that affects the time on screen. You know, you live through so many experiences together, and I think it makes your work as an actor a lot easier, because you I should speak for myself. I trust the people that I work with on TLK so much
Mm.
that
Hmm.
whatever I throw at them, I know that they're gonna have my back, and vice versa. You know, the my close crew, Arnis and Mark and you, and we've been working together for years now, and
Hmm.
there are so many shorthands that we have now when we create a scene with the director and you know, all the other teams involved, that when somebody throws out an idea, nobody's scared that there's going to be judgment, or, you know, if it's a good idea, it doesn't matter where it comes from, we take it. If it's a bad idea, we say,
Mm.
okay, it's not going to work, but nobody gets offended, you know. So that is a huge asset to have. And on the other hand, in And if you saw the last season, season 3,
Mm-hmm.
towards the end, I think it was episode 9. There were some scenes between David Dawson, who plays King Alfred, and myself, and
Mm-hmm.
those scenes were truly emotional and moving to me. And that is something that, normally to prep scenes like that, you have to kind of dig deep and make them work for you, and connect to them in an organic way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Can
Um,
you hear me?
and in that case, I didn't have to do any of that, because David Dawson and I had so many experiences together working on this show for so many years, that everything was just there bubbling under the surface. It was all
Yeah.
real. So it makes your work so much easier.
Yeah, certainly, certainly. Well, I love hearing that because we're fans of the show here at Backstage, and obviously the audience here today are fans. So
That's good
it's
to
good
hear.
to
Thanks.
know that it's at this point second nature. You guys are collaborating together, creating together, and that's all you can really ask for as an actor, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's not only cast, it's also the crew.
Certainly, yeah.
The producers, Nigel Nigel Martin and Gareth Neame at Carnival, have a knack for putting together teams that are so respectful of each other, and that are so dedicated to the work, and that have a value system that kind of aligns. So it makes everything very, very easy. It feels like a big family. I'm so
Love that.
grateful to be part of this team. It's a true honor, and it's a pleasure.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to see what's in store with season 4 on Sunday. As a final question for you, I like capping these off again because a lot of the folks out there with Backstage are in the early stages of their career. I'd love to hear the advice that you'd give your younger self when you were
Hmm.
first getting started. Is there anything you've learned along the way that you wish you knew back then?
Not really, because I think things had to happen the way they happened. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, I I didn't work for a long time after I finished theater school.
Mm-hmm.
I studied in London, and then before I actually started making a living from my work, it was about six almost 7 years. You know,
All
and
right.
I
Yeah.
think I think that's the most difficult time. I think people who are in it for the love of the work, which I think is important. If you want to be famous, then there are way easier ways to get famous
Right.
than working in this industry.
Yeah.
So if you do it for the love of the work, that means you're going to be hardworking, and you're going to be keeping your instrument alive. You're going to be
Mm-hmm.
working on your craft. You're going to be doing your homework, and you'll be ready when the opportunity comes along. But I think that the most difficult thing is to just hunker down, have that grit to keep going when there's no work. That's
Yeah.
that's the tough part. And I think a lot of people I know that who are so talented and that aren't really working right now are the ones that kind of lost faith in their ability to just keep going. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the strongest asset that you can have is knowing deep down that you yourself will never let yourself down.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
you will always keep going no matter what. And unless you're shit at what you do, then one day it's gonna be okay. One day you'll get there, but just keep doing the work for the love of the work, and whether you get paid for it or not get paid for it, do the same work, and one day I think you'll get recognized
Yeah.
for what you do.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that you're out of that dry spell, to say the least. You've been
Well,
finding
who
your
knows?
footing after
Yeah,
that.
that's the
Yeah,
thing though. You always got to be ready for it to come back. You
yeah,
never
yeah,
know
yeah.
what happens. It's one of
But
those
it is all
careers
about
that,
the work. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad to see that you're staying safe out there, staying healthy. Thanks for finding a slice of your time this afternoon to chat with me,
I
and
really
congrats on
appreciate
the
it,
new
Ben.
season.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah. We'll be in touch. And
Okay,
thank you,
take care.
everyone, for tuning in.